Hello viewers, welcome to our lecture series on Indian ethos in management. We are going to continue our discussion on the topic of corporate rhymes. This is going to be part 3 of our lectures on the topic, and here we would be understanding how to recognize the right brain as a seat of creativity. And I already told you about management Subhashitani, and now we will talk about development of indigenous management, the way it developed, and what is there into the Sanskritic influences, the Sanskrit shlokas as management sutras, that how can we make good use of those shlokas in order to implement it in the business and management. And then eventually we will talk about the subaltern creativity, which is being explained by management verbs and proverbs. To exemplify them, I would be presenting before you some of the verbs and proverbs which are there in the practice nowadays in corporate corridors as well. So, needless to explain management Subhashitani, because I already explained it to you in the previous lecture of mine. I need to tell you about the point of origin. The idea of management Subhashitani, actually it is seeking the linkages between the Indian wisdom, ancient and modern, with the management theories and concepts. So, how to find a linkage between the two, the ancient and modern Indian wisdom with management theories and concepts. So, it is in a way going to be a linkage between the East and West, because management theories and concepts by and large they are representing the Western ideas, the Western thoughts. Whereas, when we talk about the Indian wisdom, either it is ancient or it is modern, it is basically representing the Eastern enlightenment. So, we have to understand that whether we are getting enlightened or we are awakening ourselves in the field of management theories or concepts, how can we enrich those management theories and concepts? This is what is our point of discussion in this lecture of mine. So, it should, we have to note it here, my dear learners, that Subhashitani basically originated from the human experience in social context, while if we talk about the modern management theories, they basically emanated or originated from human experiences in corporate context. So, it is basically a combination of social and corporate context. So, these are two different contexts which are going to be integrated when we talk about the management Subhashitani. When we talk about integrating those verses, those shlokas, to implement them in the business and management processes or into our decision makings. So, how to go for developing indigenous management? Despite this kind of distinct and different origins, where we are talking about the difference of corporate context and social context. One talks about the boundaries of a corporate entity, and another one is talking about the society, the social context, which is quite wide, and you can say it is widespread. So, there are interesting parallels despite these distinctions, these variations, we find interesting parallels and insights. And what is the reason behind that? The reason is because enterprise themselves are micro social systems, and they are operating in macro social context. So, as a micro social systems, when they are operating in a social context which is macro in nature, in a way they are behaving like a miniature of that social context. So, social context cannot be denied. We nowadays we believe into the corporate social responsibility, we talk about the individual social responsibility, we talk about the public social responsibility. So, from CSR to PSR and then ISR, these are the different terms or jargons which we are using. It is nothing but the integration of corporate context with that of social context. So, we cannot forget a society in which we are operating as a business entity. How can you ignore or discount the significance of resources which you are taking from society in order to produce, in order to offer a product and make your profit? So, you have to, in any case, you have to accept, you have to show your concern towards the social context. Further, a creative synthesis of ideas from Subhashitani and ideas from management theories, it can offer us new ideas for management. When we can get the better ideas for management, why are we going to stop it? We should accept it. We have no reason to say no to it, and we have all the reasons to accept it. that yes, this is something which is going to modify our management theories and concept, or it is going to cause some enrichment into it. And this I am not saying, most of the researchers in this field, they have endorsed it. If I have to quote Sinha in 1999, Sinha has identified various influences. If I have to name it, I will call it ancient Indian wisdom, Vedantic, and many others, and the folk ways and the Western in the form of transnational influences. So, Sinha talks about identification of various influences that they are there, and he suggests that the development of indigenous management on the basis of integrative indigenization of these influences are very much there into the corridors of business and management. And when we talk about the Sanskritic influences, Sanskrit shlokas as management sutras, we can find some illustrative Sanskrit shlokas which are widely known, and they offer lessons for management, administration, leadership, and also the social philosophy. So, many of these shlokas, they are self-explanatory, no need to explain them, you simply read them and you find the meaning of it. For instance, one of the most popular shloka is Sarve bhavantu sukhina sarve santu niramaya sarve bhadrani pashyantu makaschid dukkha bhag bhavet, which says that let everyone be happy, let everyone be healthy, see good in everyone, and let nobody be ever unhappy. So, it is basically talking about the happiness, health, goodness, and to ensure that nobody is ever unhappy. So, we are in a way making a prayer that Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina. This has been our philosophy, this has been the Indian philosophy, and this shloka is very well elaborating it. Now, the question comes how to implement, how can we find it relevant for business and management. This very philosophy offers us a holistic view of life, and it is giving us a suggestion that enlightened collective interest should be the basis of our actions. So, whatever actions as a business entity we are going to take or make, it should be enlightened collective interest. The motive should be the enlightened collective interest, that it should not be in the interest of a handful of people or some people only, or one of your all stakeholders only. It should be, there has to be enlightened collective interest. If something is there in collective interest, then you should go ahead, no need to give a second thought to it. And here we talk about the survival of all, which is actually the essence of this very idea. We do not believe into the survival of fittest, survival of the best. We as a propagator of Indian philosophy, we do not call it mythology, because it is not based on myth, it is actually the reality, it is a philosophy, it is a way of life. So, if somebody is telling you that it is from Indian mythology, please correct them, that Indian philosophy is never based on any myth, and it is basically having all truthfulness into its behavior, into its statements, into its guidelines. So, here we believe into survival of all, which is the essence of this idea. So, imagine that in your business organization, you have to ensure that all stakeholders, they should get their due rewards, they should get their due stake, whatever desired values they are supposed to derive from the business, they should get it. It is their right to get it. So, we talk about survival of all, and how beautifully it is being said here that we believe into Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Makaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. So, ultimate goal of the institutions and organization here is to work towards the goal of everybody's welfare. And this is what nowadays we talk in the name of CSR. Even the Western thinkers, Western countries, they are also talking about the corporate social responsibility nowadays, which we have already talked about long back, which our philosophy had already given it in the name of the shloka, which is there. So, we have been talking about Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina for very long, and now they have realized. So, we are not questioning that they are delayed. So, it is always good to accept it. So, it is never late to accept accept good things. So, it is better late than never. So, they should accept it, and they have started doing so. So, this Sanskritic influences, one small example I have given, and there are number of other examples, and the role of organizations, corporate or otherwise, should be evaluated within this framework. If you have to evaluate a company, that whether it is performing well or not, we should develop a framework where we should find that whether it talks about the everybody's welfare or not, whether it talks about collective interest or not. If no, then of course that company is not going to sustain for long. The second one is the second Indian philosophy, second shloka is basically focusing on efforts for success. We believe that we should keep on making efforts. We cannot get success which is effortless. Indian philosophy never talks about a success which is effortless. We believe into a success which is earned, which is actually obtained by your hard work, commitment and dedication. And there is a long old, very old saying here, shloka in the form of a shloka, udyamen hi siddhyanti karyani na manurothe nahi suptasya singhasya pravishanti mukhi mriga, which means success comes from your efforts and not from wishful thinking. I am sitting on a chair and simply making a wishful thinking, that is not going to serve the purpose. A deer does not enter a lion's mouth automatically. This is what it says, nahi suptasya singhasya pravishanti mukhe mriga. So, it cannot enter, deer is not going to enter into a lion's mouth automatically. So, they have to make effort. The relentless efforts are basically the key to success in Indian philosophy. So, only through the dedicated efforts an assigned task can be accomplished. So, you can think, you can imagine how beautifully it has been narrated in the form of a shloka, that we have to get success which is with all efforts and commitment. Effortless success is something which is not our cup of tea. So, mere wish or intentions will not lead to accomplishment of the task. Even the king of the jungle, he or she has to put in efforts. So, we have to put our efforts, and it is not only being applicable for, it is not only applicable for business management, but also for our routine life. Even to our coming generation, we can offer a lesson that yes, you have to concentrate on efforts if you really wish to achieve success. So, success is bound to come if you are making efforts for it. And this shloka has an inspirational meaning not only for the entrepreneurs, but also for every walk of life. People from every walk of life, you can tell them. So, this is another example of incorporating creativity and innovation into your business organization. Another point for which we have a shloka there, that is competence is the key. We talk about competence, that how to incorporate, how to inculcate the competence into our personality. What are the key qualities which we should or you should possess in order to ensure success? Since you are going to lead a company, how to behave yourself, how to behave in an effective and efficient manner. So, there is a shloka for that, ko ati bhara samarthanam kim duram vyavasayinam ko videsha suvidyanam and ka parah priyavadinam. So, it talks about the qualities of a person. So, no task is impossible for a competent person, ko ati bhara samarthanam. If you are a competent person, nothing is impossible for you. Even the word impossible would say I am possible. And no place is distant for a businessman. It is always said that if you are doing a business, you should never talk about the geographical boundaries. So, imagine the globalization have already been explained into this shloka. In Indian philosophy, in Indian scriptures, it is part of that. So, no place is distant for a business person. So, it has a rooted meaning that we have never been talking about protecting our business into the domestic environment only. We have been talking about the globalization for very long, and no land is foreign for educated person. We have been speaking about it, that if you are educated, no land is foreign to you, whether you are working here in this part of the world or in any other part of the world. It is not foreign to you, you will understand and you will learn everything easily. and no one is stranger for persons with good communication abilities. So, ka para priyavadinam. So, if your communication skill, your communication abilities are good, then of course no one is stranger to you. You can communicate, you can express what you want to say. So, the crux of this shloka is competence is the key. We have to understand that no task is impossible for a competent person. So, my dear learners, we have to simply realize that whatever we are getting from Western thinkers in one way or the other, and we are very excited for those ideas at times, and we are at times some people ridicule our own scriptures. They need to understand, you need to interpret, you need to read and understand what our scriptures, what those shlokas have to say, what these poetic verses have to speak about the business, about your competence. So, they have already spoken about globalization, and we say that we have been opposed to globalization. So, situation could have been different, that under what circumstances we we adopted globalization. But in any case, we are not opposed to that. We believe into Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. We believe that anybody or everybody who is living in this universe, they are part of our family. So, it is only we who talk about considering the entire world as family. No other person is going to consider, no other part of world is going to endorse it with this kind of philosophy. And this shloka actually talks about 6 human qualities. If we have to explain 6 human qualities, another shloka I am going to present before you, 6 human qualities in one shloka. And what is the use of that I would explain to you. So, Udyam Sahasam Dhairya Buddhi Shakti Parakrama Shad Ete Yatra Vartane Tatra Deva Sahayakarta. Which means if you have these 6 qualities, if you are hardworking, you can take risk, you have patience, you have intellect, you have strength and prowess, then these are the 6 human qualities. If you possess, if they are present in any individual, even Almighty is going to help you. So, even Almighty can come and help you if you bear these qualities. What does it mean? It means that as a human being, we should try to incorporate these qualities, and the first one is hard work. So, there is no substitute of hard work. You have to go for doing hard work, you have to take risk, you should have patience, you should have intellect, you should have strength and prowess. And if you possess these 6 qualities, the Almighty is always there to help you. So, my dear learners, we have to understand that these shlokas, they have a rooted meaning, they have a deep rooted meaning, and they have deep rooted implications, not only for business management, but also for our routine life. Another very significant shloka is, which very often we quote when we have to take name of Swami Vivekananda, and Swami Vivekananda himself said, Utishtha Jagrat Prapta Varani Bodhat Shruya Dhara Nisita Durtaya Durgam Pathasata, which means awake, arise and learn by approaching the excellent ones. So, you have to awake, you have to arise, and you should learn by approaching the excellent ones. The path to success is always difficult and risky. You cannot find your path of success to be a bed of roses. It is always difficult and risky. It is bound to be difficult and risky. It is like walking on the razor's edge. And the idea of learning from the excellent ones is the key to one's advancement. If you really wish to excel, if you really wish to go for advancement, you have to learn from the excellent ones. And as I told you that Swami Vivekananda has also reiterated the idea of arise and awake in his famous lines, arise, awake and stop, not till the goal is reached. So, Vivekananda says that arise, awake and stop not till the goal is reached. So, unless you attain your goal or your objective, you should not stop, which means the relentless efforts are needed to ensure success. And this is not only again applicable for business management, but also for all walks of life. So, we believe into Charaveti, Charaveti, move on and move on. It is another inspirational expression to motivate us to move towards our goals, and we are reminded of the famous lines, miles to go before I sleep, expressing the similar sentiments. So we are reminded of this line, that miles to go before I sleep, but we should remember that we do have Charaveti, Charaveti, which means we have to move on and move on. We should keep on doing good works. So another important one sutra is Satyam Vad Dharmam Char, be truthful and follow the dharma. When we interpret it in contemporary context, the basics of ethical management are integrated by this specific subhashita, where we have to be truthful and we have to follow our dharma, and dharma here is our kartavya, our responsibility. And teamwork is always explained, always essential for the success of any business enterprise. We believe into chakram ekam navartate. A wheel doesn't turn alone. One person cannot turn the entire wheel. So this phrase from Arthashastra, it offers the essential meaning of teamwork, team building, through the metaphor of rotation of wheel. So a wheel, when it has to be moved by human effort, it requires a team to move it. Otherwise, you can simply shake it at a point, you can't move it. In order to make it moving, you need an entire team to work on that. So teamwork is another essential part of the business management, and it is already there into our shlokas. Asto ma sadgamya, tamso ma jyotirgamya, mrityor ma amritam gamya, which talks about let us let us lead us from unreal to real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. So, when we are going to interpret it in today's context, this shloka offers us a foundational basis for human actions in various spheres of life. So, when I say astoma sadgamya, it can be interpreted like a shift from asat or the unethical style to ethical style of human actions. So, astoma sadgamya, so shifting myself from unethical to ethical style of human actions. When I say tamsoma jyotirgamya, it implies a shift from tamas, or what you call as negergy or negative energy, to light or synergy. So we believe into 1 and 111. And when I say mrityor mamritam gamya, it can be reinterpreted as a shift from inactive state to active state. So imagine those shlokas, those sutras which were given, which were written long back, they are still relevant not only for business management but also for the entire humanity. So such a great contribution we have got from our forefathers, from our rishis, and we have inherited them. So from inaction to action is the message here, and there are various new principles of management, and I am telling you, if we go for explaining for each and every principle or theory of management, we have got a well established principle in the name of a shloka or a sutra in our own scriptures. So these subhashitas, they indicate that some new principles of management can be formulated. If we try to try to integrate that corporate context with the social context, we can formulate the new principles of management, which can be of immense help to the managers, to the leaders of today, and they can be more efficient and effective. And it includes what it actually needs. What it needs is putting in the right effort, learning from the excellent ones, avoiding the extremes. We should try to leave we should not become extremist. We should avoid the extremes. We should evaluate according to results, and we should go for following the path of right conduct. So these 5 ideas which I presented before you is that you have to put right efforts, you have to learn from the excellent ones, to avoid the extremes, evaluate according to the results. Whatever results we are getting, we should evaluate it according to the result. If these ideas are giving me the best of results, why don't we accept it? Why don't we adopt it? And then we should follow the path of right conduct. So these 5 ideas, it could be considered as foundational concept of effective management. Now, what is the reason behind saying that? It is not because that we are talking about Indian ethos in management, so we have to simply push it like this. No, there is a reason behind that, because they focus on certain important things like effort, learning, decision making, results as a basis of evaluation, and conduct of the individual. So, these are the key components. If we incorporate it into the management functions, into the management theories, then of course we can find a framework, or we can find a foundational concept of effective management for present days managers. So, the essence of these management principle lies in development of character competence, which we have already discussed in the previous lecture of mine, which is actually forming the basis for effective leadership and management. So, unless you have character competence into your leaders, your leadership cannot be effective. Your leadership or management cannot be effective. They can simply get their work done, but they cannot sustain for long. So, here comes the role of subaltern creativity by the way of management verbs and proverbs. So, ideas from the folklore literature and dohas, which are widely used by common masses in their routine conduct, it is also used, and they basically represent subaltern creativity in different forms, in various forms, and can be referred to as subaltern creativity or subaltern subhashitani. So, many management scholars and theorists, they have rediscovered their efficacy in corporate context, and it is not new to us. So, we have to understand, my dear learners, that at times the contradictory proverbs do exist, but that does not mean that we are going to deny their acceptance in the field of business and management, because this contradiction may be seen as a sign of creativity, because an issue or a problem is looked in different ways. Suppose if I am looking at a problem from a different perspective and you are looking at the same problem from a different perspective, things may be different. So, the contradiction do exist. So, the context of proverb is also critical, in what context we are talking about. I can give you the example of one proverb, ek aur ek 11, 1 and 1 11. If I have to translate it in English, I would say 1 and 1 is 11. So, this phrase, what is the equivalent management concept underlying into this? This phrase explains the meaning of teamwork as well as synergy. So, although the idea of synergy is explained by 2 plus 2 is greater than 4, but when we say 1 and 1 11, the degree of synergy is 11 times. So, it talks about the magnitude of one person being added to another one, and it is making 11. So, it is talking about the force with which a person is putting energy. So, it is talking about the teamwork, and 1 can be 11. So, the magnitude of synergy is very high. So, there are number of ideas here, like another proverb is nahi akele se chale duniya ho ya desh, tabhi teen isme lage Brahma Vishnu Mahesh. So, people say that this universe or this world or a nation cannot be run merely by one individual, and this is why team of 3 Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh, they are needed. So, what does it mean? What does it indicate towards management concepts? It says that there is a popular jargon in management called teamwork, and the importance of the same is clearly indicated in a simple language. And in team, every person has a different role to play. One is creator, another one who is taking care of, and last one is going to destruct it. You have to close it, you have to wind it up. So, there are a number of proverbs, some of them I tried to present before you. I hope you must have enjoyed this segment of my lectures on Indian ethos in management. We shall be coming with another series of lectures on the same topic very soon. Thank you so much.